people always talk about the health benefits, but it goes way beyond when you start brewing it yourself, because then it leaks into empowerment and taking action and being responsible, like you said, being responsible for your own health.
So, Dave, I'd like to just ask you, could you give the listeners maybe one or two tips, maybe two would be great, on maybe some aspects of kombucha that they're not aware of, something that you found in your investigation, research, or personal experience?
Sure. Well, I'll give you one for the people that still have not decided to take action now and begin brewing, and if they're still purchasing it at the store, or if they've never experienced kombucha. I'll give a tip for those guys, and then I'll give a tip for the people that are brewing to kind of kick up their brew. Okay, so for the people that if you're still purchasing in the store, just a nice thing with kombucha is that you could use it in many other ways than just digesting it. It's a wonderful astringent quality, but unlike, let's say, pure alcohol, it has healing kind of cooling properties to it, because especially from the antioxidants and the polyphenols in it. So it makes, if you're using, a lot of people in the morning use, I'm trying to think of it, like some type of facial toner on their skin. Guys, especially if they're shaving, they use like an aftershave type thing, which is an astringent. Switch to a little bit of kombucha, and it's awesome. It's very invigorating, and at the same time gentle. So it kind of takes the properties of a lot of people, if an aftershave lotion is too strong, they use, like, such as myself. My skin tends to be on the less oilier side, more on the drier side. I've used rose water in the past. Kombucha is a fantastic alternative. I mean, your skin will just pick up, kind of like that effect that you get by drinking the kombucha. Your skin will feel that effect, and there's other variations in it. And these are things, you go to a store that sells some of these things, and they're charging you. I mean, as expensive as kombucha is, in the store, it's still relatively cheap if you're using it for this reason, because you're just using a little dash of it. And compared to other products, there's products out there, man, that are like $60 for a 2-ounce bottle. And because they say, oh, well, there's polyphenols, and it's made with green tea, and a small amount of caffeine, a small amount of sugar, which caffeine, in small amounts, and it depends on everyone's sensitivity to it. And in our course, we do talk about there are alternatives to using Camellia sinensis tea. There's things like rooibos, which is not tea. We already said that tea is from this Camellia sinensis plant, but it still has enough characteristics like tea that you could use it for brewing kombucha, and will have zero caffeine. But for some, a small amount of caffeine is fine. It's just when we're drinking caffeine, it's like, what else are you drinking the caffeine with? So you have polyphenols that kind of counteract that perhaps jitteriness, but caffeine acts as a carrier. In this case, if you're kind of splashing it on your face, you're gonna feel incredible. And really, I want everyone to just pause the interview, and if you have kombucha in your house right now, just dab a little bit on your face. Guys, especially if you're shaving, it will do absolute wonders for repairing your skin damage. And what's nice about it, it's one of these things that you could do almost on a daily basis. I say almost because depending on your skin type, you might want to take 1 or 2 days off, and it will continue to heal. But at the same time, for the people that, we live in a society that, you want things right away, you'll feel the effects instantly. I mean, within 10 seconds flashing in your face, you'll feel like $1 million.
You won't have those chemical side effects.
Yeah, you won't have the chemical side effects. You're saving a boatload of money, and listen, and then it might inspire you to also be brewing this stuff at home, because there's so many other. I know you told me one, but I'm going to give you another one. But it's very similar. It's also, you could add it to bath water. Next time you take a bath, you could bathe in it. You could also do a combination, jojoba, whatever you want to call it, jojoba and kombucha. If you kind of like do about 3 to 1, so 3 ounces of kombucha to 1 ounce of jojoba, and then put it in a spray bottle. It's great to spray on your skin, and then kind of like let it sit for a little bit, and then take a bath or shower it off.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, for our brewers, a tip would be, and again, and if you are, especially if you're brewing or if you're curious about brewing, our course has, I don't know, maybe like 40 tips, and also the way we do it is it's very digestible, because my biggest problem for people, especially for people like myself, is that we love learning. We love learning about this stuff, but that, it's a double-edged sword, because it might be too much information. So we give you little drips at a time, and I'm the one kind of you got to deal with my horrible jokes and my blabbing, as you could tell in this interview, but at the same time, it's at least we have close to 8,000 people that are on our newsletter that do appreciate it. I mean, it's just a different way to kind of digest this information. And so one of these tips is that if you are brewing, everyone wants the fizz. Everyone experiences kombucha at the store, and they get this really fizzy bottle, and it's awesome. At least for me, I love the fizz. I mean, it's very refreshing, and I think the reason why people love it so much is that it's reminiscent to soda, right? And soda, as we know, isn't so good for us, but we grew up on soda, and it brings back those memories of like just on a hot day, just having those little bitty bubbles just run down, just get into us. And also, to be fair, drinking carbonated beverages quickly isn't the best thing for your digestive system. However, sipping on carbonated beverages acts again as a carrier. Carbonation gets into your bloodstream a lot quicker. That's why with alcohol, if you down a shot of whiskey or you chug a beer, which then have the equal amounts of alcohol, you'll feel the effects of alcohol a lot quicker in a beer, because those itty bitty bubbles get into your bloodstream. In fact, that's why people get drunker on the shot, because it's not because it's a 1-to-1 ratio. It's because they drink the shot and they say, "Oh, I don't feel drunk yet. Let me have the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and so on." So to get the fizz, we get questions all the time: how do you get the fizz? How do you get the fizz? So what I would recommend, and I mentioned beer because it's this technique is from old school distilleries, from these artisan microbrew breweries. They do something called a second fermentation. And the second fermentation process is a bottle fermentation process where they continues to ferment. The yeast strands continue to eat away the sugar in the bottle. And normally, if you're brewing kombucha, you already know that when you brew, you want it to be in a breathable system. So you have a glass jar or a lead-free porcelain brewer, and that's what we carry exclusively. You want it to have the covered. So the SCOBY, the culture, so to speak. By the way, SCOBY stands for Symbiotic Colony of Yeast and Bacteria. I just want to touch on briefly, kombucha translates to mushroom tea. Kombu is mushroom, cha is tea, but there's no mushroom in it. It looks like a mushroom. It's kind of like a flappy pancake, very similar to a portobello, and the name is kombucha. But there's no mushroom. I mean, we talk about, a peanut is not a pea or a nut, so it's the same thing. The fizz. To get the fizz, you want to give it a second fermentation, a second bottle fermentation. And very simple to do that is when you go to bottle your kombucha, one, you want to bottle it, okay? So rather than drinking it right from your jar, bottle it. It's going to be a little harder because you got to wait a few extra days. And then add another sugar source. And this is very, very important. It does not have to be a lot, and it doesn't have to be sugar directly. It could be a few raisins. It could be some craisins. It could be a little piece of ginger, or it could be about a teaspoon to a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of agave syrup into a 16-ounce bottle. What that will do is it's introducing another sugar source. The yeast will eat it away, so it's going to reduce the sugar again. However, this time, when you're eating the sugar, when this yeast strands and bacteria are eating the sugar, you're reducing gas. But unlike last time, when you have a breathable fabric covering, the gas can't escape because the bottle is on top. It's capped. So instead of the gas escaping, it builds pressure, and that pressure creates effervescence. This is very important because